again, everybody. It's Mark here again with ExoticCar PlayPlace. And again, this is a little bit out of character, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an actual demonstration. I'm going to do a fuel filter installation on my 2005 Lamborghini Gallardo, and this would more or less apply for anything that was 2004, 5, 6, 7, and 8 model years. So this is applicable for all of those model years. Now, I've talked about this before in the past, and I've said, you know, about the benefit in you doing your own maintenance. And number one is cost savings, and maybe that's not the case for everybody. Not everybody really cares about saving the money. But I'll be quite frank with you, I've had experiences where I've taken stuff to the dealer and then you find loose fittings after, or a leak, or a problem. And you know, this way, when you're taking things apart, it gives you a chance to also get in there and do some cleanup. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. And I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to demonstrate what a fuel filter change out looks like on these Gallardos. Now, firstly, I'm going to show you what these fuel filters cost. Before we get started, and before we get into the meat and potatoes of this whole story, I want to ask all of you guys out there, if you have not already subscribed, please do. Because the next stretch here is going to be a lot of features on the Lamborghini, and of course my E60 M5, which I've featured a lot of lately, and every other supercar available. I also do some reviews and drives. So again, I'd ask, if you guys have not necessarily subscribed yet to my channel, please do. You're going to find a lot of good car content. But moving right along. Okay, guys. Now, what I'm going to start out by showing you is how much these filters cost. Because in a Lamborghini like this, there's actually two fuel filters. There's one on either side of the car. Now, because of that, we've got some parts to take apart. Unfortunately, we've got to get in there, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But firstly, you need to have the parts in place. You also need the tools. But getting on that, firstly, there's the cost of the fuel filters. $226. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to show you the tools that you need. There may be more as we go, and I'll show you what that is. But let's get started. I'm going to show you the exact tools you need to do this job. Firstly, we need a 22 millimeter wrench, 22 mil wrench. You're going to need an open end specifically, because just to get around the fittings of the fuel filter. You're going to need a 19 millimeter wrench, because that's also partially what you're going to need to get in those fuel filters. I use this, maybe not the right tool for the job. You need, ideally, you would use a 90-degree pick, like a sharp little pick, because what you need is something to pop the struts, the base of the struts off of the housing there. And I'll show you that as I go. But this here works for me. It's not that stiff. It's pretty easy to get at, so I'm using this. Again, not necessarily the right tool for the job, but it does work. I would recommend, again, a small, tiny, little 90-degree pick. You need a Torx fitting. You need a Torque. And this one is a T30. So if you're looking for the right one, this is a T30. I'm using on an extension and a ratchet. Okay? This is to take apart all the plastics. You also need a T25. So I need a T30 and a T25 with an extension and a ratchet. And then, of course, you need the filter. Don't start any of this work until you have the filter in hand. Now you'll notice here's a fuel filter, a new one. We've got plugged on the downstream. And again, very, very important you get the right flow, otherwise obviously it may not work. Chances are it won't work. So this one here, obviously it says in. On this end, it says in. So this is your supply side and this is your engine side, alright? And you can see also they usually put arrows. That's the flow, the direction of fuel flow. So if that helps you, worst case you put in as you kind of found the existing ones. Okay, so here we are. We're going to start popping all these bolts off. I'm going to start with, you're going to have to alternate with the different fittings. So I put the blanket here. I just want to make sure I don't scratch the car. So here we go. There's more on this side. we're gonna undo. Okay, now I'm holding up the top here too. So just the way it works, you need a 13 mil socket. That's the other one you're gonna need, yeah. That's to undo this. So you gotta undo this. We're gonna, don't throw it too far just yet. Put that over there. Now we're gonna pull this panel out of here. Now we're gonna snap that back down. There, boom. Okay, so 13 mil wrench to undo. We're gonna undo the canister here. There's 2 bolts. I'm gonna start it. I'll get them all the way undone. Okay, and I do the other one. So we're just gonna loosen these off lightly. I'm not gonna take them out yet. You have to get the charcoal canister out of the road. You want to put some rags underneath here to catch the gas. And this line came to the far, so the one that's, they cross over. You'll notice this one goes far side, this one goes far side. Okay, got that one off. So they crossed over. Now we're gonna undo the canister. Cut that one off. Look, those 3 lines off there. Take that off. Make the cap. Canister out.
Okay.
Oh, there we are. Okay. We got that ugly thing out of there. Yeah. Okay, there's a charcoal canister out.
Mm-hmm.
Pull that bracket up, out of the way. Oh, yeah. want to do, we've got the old fitting with a good ring on it, as you'll see here, with the ring. But we're going to use a little Loctite. We're going to use the blue Loctite. Use the other stuff, you'll never get it off again. But this one here is for a mild bite. Okay. Put a little blue Loctite on there, just a bit. We're going to thread it into here, to the in. It's the in fitting. Because that's the fitting for the inlet. Now we're going to take the old fitting off the old filter. We'll leave this out here. Always do this in a well ventilated area. Now we salvage the old fitting. Okay, so now we grab the old fitting, the one with the union end on it. So you'll notice it's got a taper in there. We're going to use a little Loctite on this one as well. Take it to the new filter. Thread it in. And then we're going to tighten her down. Okay, so this is going to probably work a little easier to start here. Gain access to these nuts. Now we're going to tighten these down. Alright, so I plugged in the back fitting. I threaded up this top one nice and snug. Now you gotta pull this clip down. And of course, if you noticed, I reused the rubber that goes around the filter. I peeled it off the other one and put it back on this one. Used a little bit of spray-on glue. That's tough. Use this to try to hopefully get in there by hand. Oop, almost lost it. Now we put a socket on, a ratchet, give it a little bit of extra. Don't need it too tight, it's just a clamp. Okay, now we gotta put this canister back in here. We're gonna slide it down in here. The old charcoal canister. It's a bit of a bear to get it out in the first place, but let's see if we can get this thing back in. This is probably the ugliest part of this job that I encountered. Okay, so now that we got the driver's side done, I got all that our charcoal canister back in, the filter's all connected up. We're gonna come to the passenger side, open up the reservoir for the coolant. And what we want to do is get rid of all this excess coolant in here. And we want to try to get this this thing as empty as we possibly can before we undo it, because we need to disconnect the hoses. And we want to get that thing out of the way. So if we don't get it out of the way, then we have an issue with potentially breaking hoses. So I'm going to put that there for now. And we're going to suck some of this out just to minimize. Ooh. It's the purple stuff. It's actually not a bad color. That's the brand. That's the brand. So we want to get as much of this out of here as we can. Minimize the mess and the spill. Okay. So what we want to do is, I've drained out most of the antifreeze there. Now we want to remove the expansion tank here. That way we can get access to the filter. Fuel filter, that is. Uh-oh, we have a little insert. Don't lose it, or you'll be looking for another one. Okay, so we're going to undo the hoses here on the expansion tank. We want to be able to get this bad boy out of the way. We don't need this hassle like we had on the other side. So I'll just unscrew this as much as we can. And we're gonna leak a little bit. I see it's leaking already. So let's put that under here. Pull that beast out of there. Ooh, I think we got most of it actually. Then we got the other one at the top. Don't forget them both. And get this tank out of here, this tank of goodness. Get this beast out of here. Give it a good clean too. It's a good time to get in here and do some cleaning. It's always a good time to do some of that. There. Now, let's see if we can pull this beast out of here. Uh-oh, I think we have another connection there, huh? The main pipe. But now, I have to get back in there and undo this beast from the backside here. Not quite the monstrosity that we had with that charcoal canister. That was a beast. This thing here isn't quite as bad. Now we break her loose. So we got this. And you know what? It's a good time to give this thing a bit of a wipe down. Obviously it's been sitting in there for a while. And I can't think of a better time like the present than to clean this bad boy. Let's get her all wiped up real nice. So as you can see, we've got access now to the right hand filter. So we're gonna crack that off. Let's see if we can get this opened. Oops. So first of all, let's get a bite of this one. And then we'll get a bite of this one. There. All right. And we've got a connection in the back. And we want to catch some of that gas. Put a rag under there. And then we got to undo that inside clip. These are a bugger. Give it a little turn. There. Got that off. Okay. Now the next plan of attack is to actually undo it from the housing, so we need to get that special little Torx fitting again. All right, well, we just put this back in. I just connected the final hoses, so I put the tank back on. Sorry I didn't show the filter, but it's basically the same as the other side. I put the expansion tank back on. Gave it a bit of a clean up, because why not? You're taking everything apart. You might as well clean up some of the stuff as you go. And now we're going to fill this back up with some antifreeze, or glycol as it were. So we're going to fill this up with this OEM spec purple antifreeze, or glycol, made for the Volkswagen family of cars, including Audi and Lamborghini. So we're just going to fill this tank up. Okay, so we got the finishing touches. We got that all topped up, and we're gonna go give this thing a start. Make sure we don't have any leaks before we put all the covers back together. This is the final touch. Let's see how the thing goes. It may not run right away either, by the way, because we've disturbed the fuel system. We've opened everything up and we've lost a bunch of fuel. So it might take a couple starts. It might have to prime, so let's see. Okay. All right, let's get in. Okay, everybody, I really hope that helps. This was a task. I knew it was fairly daunting for me, but it kind of is a little bit of a pain. There's a couple of really tricky parts to this, obviously, you probably saw along the way. But again, I really hope you guys, please do share this video with your friends. More importantly, subscribe and comment below. Did you like this? Maybe you have something you want to add or take away from what I did. But basically, now I'm at a point where I'm going to put the shrouds back on. I'm going to take it for a drive. We're going to call it good. So everybody, thanks again. Mark here again, signing out with ExoticCar PlayPlace, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.